Chapter 80. The Yellow Sparrow is here. Although it was noon, due to the rolling dark clouds, the sky had long been dyed ink black. Only the thunder and lightning that passed through the sky could illuminate the horizon. Boom! Another thunderous sound resounded through the sky. The glaring lightning instantly lit up this mountain range. Nearly 20 black-clothed people were standing on a small hill not far from the cave where Xiao Yan and the others were hiding from the rain. The heavy rain fell, but the clothes of nearly 20 men in black were not wet at all. The leader of the group was a tall and thin man. He looked up at the lightning and thunder. The sky was as dark as ink, and his eyes flashed with a trace of madness. Hee, such weather. The heavens are really helping me. He sighed and became skinny. The tall man turned his head and said, "We are not the only ones thinking about Suo Quan. We need to end this battle quickly." Yes. Nearly 20 deep and powerful voices were almost inaudible in the heavy rain. Go! Following the low roar of the thin and tall man, nearly 20 figures rushed towards the cave where Xiao Yan and the others were like tigers that had descended the mountain. In the cave, Zhou Yuan was stunned for a moment when he heard Xiao Yan's words. Then, he quickly reacted and looked at the latter in surprise. With a glance, a spiritual light flashed in Zhou Yuan's hand. The crystal-clear bone sword had already appeared in his hand. Almost the moment Zhou Yuan took out the bone sword, one of Suo Quan's guards also let out a low roar, instantly causing the lazy crowd to pay 120% attention. Attention, someone is coming from outside. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone was startled. They immediately stood up, and Suo Quan, who was protected by the 4 guards, also stood up. With a flash of spiritual light in his hand, a heavy saber appeared in his hand. Bang! In the next moment, everyone saw smoke and dust rolling out from the entrance of the cave. Several sharp rocks the size of a human head were whistling as they flew towards the mountain cave. Humph! Seeing a rock flying towards him, Xiao Yan let out a cold snort. He suddenly stretched his palm forward. Just as his palm was about to touch the rock, a red flame suddenly appeared on his palm. The flame swept across, and the rock under his head turned into black ashes and scattered. A rock that was rushing towards Zhou Yuan was swept away by the strange bone sword in Zhou Yuan's hand, and it instantly turned into ashes. The weakest among the people who came here were 5 sovereign masters. Naturally, they were not afraid of this level of attack, and all of them blocked it. Suo Quan casually swung the saber in his hand, sending a rock flying. He looked at the entrance of the cave and spoke in a hoarse voice, "Who are you? Don't you know that this is the convoy under the command of the Princess of Deyong County?" No one answered. They only heard rustling sounds. When the dust in the cave dissipated, they could clearly see the cave through the light of the fire. There were close to 20 men in black in front of the cave. The leader, a tall and thin middle-aged man, looked coldly at Suo Quan, who was covered by the black robe. He sneered and said, "You talk so much nonsense. Obediently hand over the things and I will leave you with an intact corpse." Arrogant. Suo Quan was instantly enraged. The blade in his hand buzzed and a bright light appeared. "Old fool, I will make you beg for death later." The middle-aged man coldly harumphed. A bright light flashed in his hand, and a black shadow shot out like a poisonous snake towards Suo Quan who was in the cave. Ding! Just as the shadow was about to hit Suo Quan, a guard beside him took a quick step forward. The spiritual sword in his hand blocked the attack of the shadow. When the two collided, an ear-splitting crisp sound was heard. "What are you still standing there for? Attack! Kill them!" The guard who blocked the attack of the middle-aged man suddenly let out a furious roar at the people beside him. After which, he and the other 2 rushed forward at the same time. All the origin monarch ki on his body gushed out. The powerful strength of a monarch spirit had completely erupted. Clearly, he was preparing for the powerful monarch skill. Suo Quan did not charge forward. Instead, he quietly stood at his original spot. The other guards stood beside him and did not participate in the battle. When they heard the furious roar of this guard, everyone seemed to have woken up from a dream. They couldn't help but curse out loud, and then they started attacking the man in black who was charging towards them. The leader is a peak of monarch spirit. The rest of them are basically between 8 Dao sovereign master and 3 Dao monarch spirit. "Mr. Xiao, let's pretend to defend first and take the opportunity to get rid of Suo Quan." Zhou Yuan, who had seen the strength of the newcomer, quickly warned Xiao Yan. After that, he held the bone sword in his hand and rushed towards the black-clothed man. Xiao Yan quickly glanced at Suo Quan and the guard, who were standing still. A puzzled expression flashed across his heart. Before he could recover from his shock, a sharp monarch skill beam ruthlessly smashed towards him. Xiao Yan was startled in his heart. Without thinking, he used the 9 revolving wind shift to avoid this attack. He calmed his mind and looked over. A man in black, who was at the second monarch spirit, was fighting with a youth from the 8 Dao sovereign sect. The youth was obviously no match for the man in black. He was forced to retreat, unable to fight back at all. This was the reason why the man in black had the time to shoot a monarch skill beam at Xiao Yan. In order to avoid the rain from the spirit beast that was pulling the carriage, the cave was extremely spacious. Now, there were more than 40 people fighting in a chaotic battle, and it was just enough to accommodate all of them. These guys really know how to pick. While dodging the attacks from the men in black, Xiao Yan quickly looked at the entire situation. Including Zhou Yuan, a few experts had already surrounded the few sovereign master level men in black. If that's the case, after becoming a 6 Dao sovereign master, I haven't fought a monarch spirit level warrior yet. Today is the perfect time to give it a try. Xiao Yan sneered, then he shifted his gaze to the 2 black-clothed sovereign masters. With a flip of his palm, the blue flame ruler appeared in his hand. Without any technique, Xiao Yan moved his body and threw it at the black-clothed man. You are courting death. A palm sent the young man in front of him flying. The black-clothed man looked at Xiao Yan, who was holding a huge ruler in his hand, and a mocking look flashed across his eyes. With the strength of a mere 6 Dao sovereign master, he dared to confront Xiao Yan head-on. With a sneer, the man in black clenched his fists tightly. A faint light appeared on the surface of his fists as he punched at the blue flame ruler. Even if this fellow's huge ruler was a spirit weapon, with his strength of a 2nd Dao monarch spirit, just the origin monarch key alone was enough to torture him. Therefore, the man in black didn't pay any attention to it. He threw a punch at the blue flame ruler without any fancy moves. Crack! The moment his fist touched the blue flame ruler, the smile on the man's face froze. In the next moment, the sound of bones breaking could be heard. Before the man in black could react, he felt a flame on the surface of the huge ruler silently enter his body through his bloody meridians. Ah! Before he could scream, the man in black had already vomited blood. Like a falling sandbag, he flew backwards and hit the rock wall. After that, his body powerlessly fell to the ground. In this chaotic scene, the death of a man in black obviously wouldn't attract too much attention. Xiao Yan landed on the ground and looked at the silent man in black. He couldn't help but feel a trace of joy in his heart. Although the latter was careless, with his current strength. With the monarch flame that could suddenly attack in the blue flame ruler, he wouldn't be able to use the monarch flame secret skill. If he counted the monarch flame secret skill and the 8-directional thunder ruler that could help him reach the minor success stage, he would be able to kill any ordinary early monarch spirit warrior. He estimated that he would be able to fight 7 or 8 monarch spirit warriors at the same time. His strength. Finally, there was a huge improvement. While Xiao Yan was sighing with emotion, Suo Quan and the guard who had been watching from behind were shocked when they saw Xiao Yan's performance just now. 1 2nd Dao monarch spirit was killed so easily. Suo Quan said in a low voice. His voice was filled with disbelief. This guy was brought here by Zhou Yuan, right? It seems like the strength of a 6 Dao sovereign master could easily kill 2 of them. If he used his full strength, I'm afraid he could fight 4 of them. Although he is still within our control, we still have to be careful. Also, that Zhou Yuan doesn't seem to be simple. The guard beside him said softly. Suo Quan nodded his head when he heard this. While the battle in the cave was in full swing, another group of people quietly appeared 100 meters away from the cave. Someone actually attacked us in front of us. Lord Li, do we need to attack? One of the 7 men in black, who was relatively short, stepped forward and whispered to the leader of the group. Of course. The city lord said that we must get that thing. Of course, we can't just watch helplessly as it falls into the hands of others. However, it's still early. When both sides are exhausted, wouldn't it be better for us to be sparrows? Li Hong had his hands behind his back. Through the heavy rain, he seemed to be able to see the scene of both sides fighting 100 meters away. The corner of his mouth couldn't help but reveal a trace of ferociousness. Chapter end. Hi guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.